You are listening to a Geek Speak Network podcast.
Do not adjust your iPod. Do not adjust the horizontal. Do not adjust the vertical. You have entered a podcast at the border between Canada and Utah. Spanning from the Thornwood to the Shard Isles, this is Lost Hemisphere Radio. Lost Hemisphere Radio. Lost Hemisphere Radio.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have not tuned into the wrong podcast. You have tuned into the right podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lost Brushhead Radio. God, I've been waiting a long time to put this show together, and now it finally is here. You know, this isn't a permanent thing. It's a one-off. But we, as always, have the man, the myth, the legend, the rock on which this podcast was built, the co-host with the host, Mr. John Spencer. Say hello to the Brushheads.
Hi, Brushheads. I wasn't sure who you were introducing there for a second. I'm like,
kicking it old school.
Me.
Yeah, of course it's you. Of course it's you, man. This is still Painting with MenothJohn. Let's not get all crazy about this shit. But I am extremely excited because, as you heard, we were kicking it old school at the beginning of this, and we have with us the guy that I started podcasting with, those many years ago, about five years ago now, maybe a little bit longer. Of course, I can only be talking about Chris Gdaybloke Miller. Say hello to the Brushheads, Mr. Miller.
Hello, Mr. Miller.
All right, I got to put the face cam up here. There we go. Now people can see me. John, why is it so damn hard for me to remember to actually turn on the damn camera?
I'd answer that.
You got a face made for radio, John. Let's be honest.
Hey, there you go. All right, we're gonna kick it. It's gonna be a spunky one, folks. It's gonna be a spunky one. I tell you that. Well, as I said, we are very, very lucky to have with us Mr. Chris Miller, all the way from Canada. Those of you who know one of our sponsors, Greenleaf Terrain, is also from Canada. Do you know? I would imagine you might even know Adam, Chris. He's
Possibly. I know many Adams.
It's like, you know, don't you know Adam from Canada? Oh, I'm sure he's a fabulous fella.
Canada's a big place.
I've
noticed this all these years. It's a big-ass country.
And as an Australian, you know big-ass country when you see it.
It's true. We know all about the big... Hang on.
Where
was that going, John?
Well, who can tell? When you put this much sexy on the camera all at one time, between the three of us, could rip a hole in the space-time continuum.
It is dangerous, I'll grant you that.
So, here we are, Chris. And John, I'm a little grayer than the last time you and I podcasted together, and but I'm very thrilled to have you here on the show. And as we are wont to do on this particular show, we start off with a beverage update. And tonight, I will be drinking the official rum of Painting with MenothJohn. I'll be having a shot of Kraken and some Spotted Cow. What about you, Mr. John Spencer?
I've got a shot of Kraken, and I also have Not Your Father's Root Beer again.
That stuff is legit.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Chris, what about you? What are you having for a beverage this evening?
I actually have some leftover Pepsi from the pizza last night, and I have a bowl of ice cream in Jello, so I'm good.
Oh, outstanding. That is a very, very nice combination. Nothing quite like some Pepsi and ice cream. So on behalf of...
Right?
I know, right? On behalf of the Painting with MenothJohn show to the Lost Hemisphere Radio crew, hey, Ron!
Ron.
That's good ice cream.
That's good rum. All right, folks. So here we go. We have that was our beverage update. Just want to briefly mention if you don't have anything to do with your money, what we would recommend here at Painting with MenothJohn is to give it to me. And if you go to www.patreon.com/MenothJohn, you could give me money, and I would be in favor of that. So what do we do with this money? Well, first off, with those precision measuring sets that we have, you can't get eagles for nothing, and we have to bleed the souls out of the eagle and the parakeets. So if you give us that money, we can continue to kill eagles and parakeets. And then, of course, the tiger blood. We're not going to kill the tiger. We're just going to bleed the tiger for a little while. So that's what I would suggest to do there with patreon.com/MenothJohn. And I think we've covered, if you want to buy any of those precision sets, Muson Minis store. I don't know if they're still on the front page, but if they know it's good for them, they are. So,
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to kind of leave that. We do a lot of marketing and stuff like that at the front of the show. Nothing is better for podcasting material than one long extended commercial. I hear that's good.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yep, exactly. Everybody tunes in for the commercials and never the meaty stuff. So, but real quickly, I wanted to do just a kind of a quick roundtable of some of the stuff that we did this week. I was in Reno, Nevada, gaming with the folks down there at Comic Kingdom. So shout out to the Comic Kingdom. Hey, Ron. And played a very wonderful game. I introduced the Reno meta to the Madrak 2 theme list, which includes 2 units of Fen Blades. You get a UA for free, full unit of the Creel Warriors with 2 Cabers and the flag and all that kind of stuff. And I got introduced to what Rampager can do on Veil 1.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, so one of the aspects of the Madrak 2 theme list is that you get to an advanced move with your heavy beast that I have in there. So I advanced them, and then I got Rampagered and walked 5 forward and turned around backwards and showed my butt to a Scythian, and then there wasn't an Earthborn anymore.
That's generally what happens with Rampager.
Yep.
Sounds like a thing, really.
Yeah, and then the Scythian got introduced to the first unit of Fen Blades with Blood Fury on it, and then the rest of his army got introduced to the other unit of Fen Blades with Blood Fury on it, and it was all good. Worked out to my favor, but I wanted to just give a quick shout-out to my opponent, Chris, who did it. Was a wonderful guy, and he was super sweet. So,
excellent name.
Exactly. To all the guys at Comic Kingdom, they're in Reno, Nevada. Not to be excused with, or to be confused, I should say. Not excused, but to be confused with Las Vegas. It's quite different.
There are no excuses.
It's quite different and actually quite a ways away. So, tell you guys, hey, Ron. That's a triple header, by the way. We're already at triple header.
I'm going back to the ice cream for that one.
John, you had the opportunity to bust out some. So I guess my top line is Reno is sweet. John, your top line is pigs are sweet. Suck it, party foul. Pigs are sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Me and Brushhead Centervale been chatting on our local board, and we were going back and forth on lists, and we thought it'd be cool if we both played the same list and sort of dojoed it together that way.
Mm-hmm.
That way, I know pigs, but I don't really own that many, so I didn't have a good point of reference as much.
Sure.
So he played the list, made a change, so I played the list, and it's actually Sturm and Drang, tier 4.
Nice.
With double Roadhog, Warhog, 2 Slaughterhousers, Gunbore, which was my addition, Maximus, Bone Grinders, and Pharaoh Brigands. And boy, that list gets up the table fast. Advanced move on the Slaughterhousers, then if you start as Drang plus 2 speed on the War Beasts, you are way, way in their crap immediately. And super fun. Maximus did what Maximus does and killed a crap ton of Stormblades, and managed to even not get killed in return, which is a bonus.
You know what? That little pig is tougher than you think.
Yeah, well, at Def 13 makes just enough difference. It's like, oh, you need a 6 to hit? Oh, that was a 5. Yes.
Absolutely.
Slaughterhousers did what they do. Killed a bunch of dudes. Roadhogs went around lighting stuff on fire. I put Striker on fire on turn 2. That was super fun.
That's always good.
And ended up winning the game by slamming his marshaled Stormclad over Striker with my Warhog, and then having one of the last Slaughterhousers charge him and put him in the dirt.
Nice. Takedown. It's a thing. Way to go, man. Way to go. Now,
I just want to add that the Gunbore is one of those fun models I know. It's just a great looking model.
Yeah, it's a cool looking model. We actually had my buddy bore out the barrel, so it looks even better. Cool. And it killed half of the Black 13. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Important enough, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, good deal. And now, Chris, you actually, you're here to tell us how elves are sweet. You had some success earlier today, even.
Is that why I'm here?
Well, You know, we looked into the future and saw that you were going to win a coin, so we decided to get a hold of you and have you on the show.
Well, fair enough. I can't blame you for using your amazing ability to foresee the future to rope in a guest for a podcast as opposed to winning the lottery or something like that.
That comes from the soul of the eagle that we entrap in the 6-inch precision measuring device. It allows for
That's using your powers for awesome rather than profit.
That's right.
Fair enough. Fair. No, we actually had the Reckoning release event at the Hobby Kingdom in Burlington, Ontario today. And entertainingly enough, we had more Kador players than anything else. Not a single Crix player, not a single Protector player.
Boo.
So that was quite the thing. But I got to play a bunch of games with my Retribution. Now that Morris is out, I decided for the first round I'd finally pull out Tier 4 Gareth. And I fully expected to shoot something with Morris, drop the defense, and then unload with all the Mage Hunter Strike Force.
Yep.
But it turns out using Gallows to pull Sorcerer forward and then shooting her twice with Gareth because he was now in range, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I did the Gallows through the Arc Node, needing 10s to hit on 2d6 with both of his guns, and then both shots hitting. and then Morris said, well, I guess I'll take my shot now so that the Mage Hunter Strike Force can do the job, and Morris just killed her outright.
Well, there you go.
What are you gonna do?
Little known fact that Gareth has Arcane Assassin, so all of his crap ignores your power boost field.
Yep.
Now, that said, I really should not have been hitting with both shots and hitting 10s on 2d6.
Sometimes the dice like you.
You take your chances, right? But I had 5 Mage Hunter Assassins on the table, so that was a thing.
Jesus.
It's like, I just want one of these to get somewhere interesting, and in the end, one of them killed Yuri the Axe, and that was the extent of what they did all game.
Yeah.
Well, the game ended on turn 2, so.
There you go.
Played against Convergence. I used Viros with a pair of Hydra and Imperatus and a bunch of other crap, because, have you done the Reckoning release yet, guys?
I have
No,
not.
ours is in 2 weeks.
Okay. So the point is, you either win the game by destroying the opposing objective or by assassination.
Okay.
The opposing objective is 120 millimeter bases. They are armor 20 with 40 boxes. So they can take a bit of a hit, but you can't hide the damn things.
Got it.
Right? And so my thought was, I'm going to run Virus with both Hydra, because they're dice -5 on it at that point. And they can boost, of course. And just open up with all the guns and shoot through all the things and just take it out over the space of 2 or 3 turns that way.
Sure.
Unfortunately, dice fell on the meant that I had to basically change my tactics and try and kill Directrix instead. The second Hydra was about a little more than 1/8 of an inch out of range when Directrix only had 3 boxes left. So at that point, I took the shot, found I was out of range, and Primax him in the monitor looked at Virus and said, "Hello."
Yeah.
That was the actual sound effect that happened. Then I played against Gorton with 3 Earthbreakers.
That happens.
And at this point, I wanted to try out Thyron. Because I had my theory running with Thyron. One of the big things with Retribution, we've always had 2 main Achilles heels. One is stealth, which we can get around somewhat with Calissa ignores stealth, the Thane can let the Rifleman ignore stealth, and Assyria can strip it. And as a faction, we completely lack any map buffs. The closest thing we've got is Ron turning things around. Hang on. Ron.
Oh, hey, Ron. This is old school right here.
There's a memory. But we've got these Mage Hunter Assassins who are amazeballs when they hit, but they need to roll above average to hit about 90% of the warcasters in the game.
Yeah.
And that to my mind was, you force your opponent to deal with them because they can't take the chance of you making that connection. But now with Thyron, not only do we have Storm Rager giving them potentially +2 mat, but we also have his feet giving them an additional attack dice. So all of a sudden, those Mage Hunter Assassins are a hell of a lot more reliable if you can get them in the
they
league.
are.
And so I was also Naran and Scarathiscian. Thinking Storm Rage would be perfectly valid on any of them, really.
Yep.
Indeed.
And he was the killer. I was running 2 Ghost Snipers and 2 Heavy Rifle teams as well. Because the Ghost Snipers are 3 points each, automatic damage on the objective. And those Heavy Rifle teams are dice -3. So first turn I ran. Second turn I just poured a whole bunch of damage into the objective from both rifle teams and from the Ghost Snipers. Third turn, the Ghost Snipers and the rifle teams poured a bunch more damage in. Scareth charged in and just flattened the objective. And so Gorton's sitting there behind his 3 Earthbreakers thinking, well, why can't I kill anything? Well, that's because there's a Mage Hunter, a House Shadow Artificer floating right behind that line of guns with Thyron right there, all completely immune to blast damage.
Yep.
And with Thyron, he's got Blade Shield naturally, and with the Artificer bumping up his defense by 2 against range attacks, his defense 19 against range. You've got some wonderful torpedoes, but you're not hitting shit.
No.
That is absolutely the case.
So I won that one, and then played against Khador again, because we had all the Khadors.
Yeah.
And that was a Butcher 3 list. Went back and forth a bit. The objective just wasn't getting dented enough. He had enough stuff to throw in the way. The heavy rifle teams are also very good against Fenris while he's on his horse. They're only dice -1.
Ooh, hello.
That's
Yeah.
not bad at all.
I actually found places where the heavy rifle team was preferable to the Ghost Sniper. Go figure.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's been my complaint with them all the time. They're the same points, but the Ghost Sniper is just that much more effective. But against Fenris on a horse, dice -1 is an average 6 damage, as opposed to the Ghost Sniper would have done. So, hey, all right.
Boom.
But that one ended with Hyperion punching Butcher in the face repeatedly.
Aw, I like it when
He doesn't like that at all.
He didn't. He was armor 26, but over 2 turns, because he completely failed to destroy the Hyperion when it was his turn to respond to the initial beating. And then the Hyperion said, yeah, no.
Good times. Good times.
I got my Retribution coin.
Yay! Yay, hardware. We love hardware. There it is.
Woo!
Nice.
Shiny.
Well, we kind of we kind of did a little bit of a bat rep thing here. We haven't done one of those in a little bit of a while. But one thing we are never going to step away from is keeping the lights on, John.
Indeed.
We absolutely have to make sure that we keep the lights on. We mentioned our sponsors of Discount Games Incorporated. We mentioned Greenleaf Terrain, and of course, Games and Gears. All of these really help us a lot. But that's why we have to bring on every now and again. We've got to bring on a sponsor to have a little talk about it. And today we're bringing a little bit of a blast from the past. Back in the day when Lost Hemisphere Radio, I was on it along with Chris. We used to put together some spots for Dragon Forge Design. And
they're still sponsoring Lost Hemisphere, too.
Absolutely. And they're still a wonderful company. If you need resin bases, they make some awesome bases. But we did some advertisements in which we had some very select warcasters come on. And one of them is with us tonight to help celebrate sort of this reuniting of the two podcasts here. So for Discount Games Incorporated, Greenleaf Terrain, and Games and Gears, ladies and gentlemen, Nemo 2. Well, I tell you, folks, it's been a long time since these two idiots have Gdaybloke and MenothJohn have been together, and, I'm just happier than shit. I'm happier than a pig in a sty over here with all my electrovolts going over here, and I'm going to shake it over there, and I'm going to shake it over here. But I'm here to tell you about Discount Games Incorporated. Not to do a dance. This isn't Dancing with the Warcasters. This is Painting with MenothJohn. So Discount Games Incorporated is a place where you can get models if you don't have them at your local game store. I would urge you to get your models at your local game store, unless they're a bunch of idiots. Don't buy them if they're assholes. But, Discount Games Incorporated will sell them to you, and they'll give you, if you buy $50, they'll throw that shipping away, unless you're from Europe, in which case they'll just reduce it a little bit, They can't get nuts. Jay has to pay for things. Anyway, I recommend you get your models. That Menoth Fred's coming out here in July. You might want him or the hell with Haley. We don't want to talk about her. And then we got other things that are releasing at Discount Games. Just check it out there on their websites using them internets. We ain't got them internets up there in Signar yet, but we got all kinds of other stuff. Like Thunderhead and Hurricane. Rock me like a hurricane. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now, I'm going to take a minute to get serious here. Tables today don't look like tables like they used to. Back in my day, there was actual terrain on those tables. None of this flat shit you see over here on tables these days made out of plastic or whatever tiger's blood that they've coagulated or whatever. I got no time for that. You want good-looking terrain, you got to talk to Adam at Greenleaf Terrain. He's from Canada, just like Gdaybloke. No, he's from Australia, but he lives in Canada, and it's, passable. And, get your Greenleaf Terrain from Adam, and he'll probably throw in a maple leaf, too, just for the hell of it, if you ask him. Now, Games and Gears, they make all kinds of things for your modeling, like a paintbrush. They got that katana. That katana brush is a thing. They didn't exist when MenothJohn. Well, he didn't paint. I guess he did paint me, sorta. But he could do my eyeballs better now with one of them katana brushes. I promise you that. I look like I got something wrong with me, like I got taking them drugs, like these kids today. I don't know about these kids. Well, that's it. Games and Gears. Buy shit from them. As for and Greenleaf Terrain, they'll send it over the border. They don't even do customs or shit like that. So, or Discount Games Incorporated if you want to buy a model like any of that, like that Moros that Gdaybloke was telling you about. He'll shoot shit dead for you right in the face. Anyway, I'm Nemo for Painting with MenothJohn. We'll see you next time. Remember, keep a light on. Ah! So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Nemo 2 for Painting with MenothJohn. Throwing back to the old
I knew he was such a potty mouth.
Well, he's getting a little senile these days. He's can't keep it quite clean anymore. Oh my God! I just hit my Games and Gears rack and all my paintbrushes went flying all over the place.
Why would you do that?
I know, right?
You have weird hobbies.
I do. Speaking of weird hobbies, I think I'm gonna turn on the painting cam now. This is gonna be one of those episodes of Painting with MenothJohn where I might actually paint. And
Get out!
I know,
Really?
right? I know, right? And I'm gonna be painting Nemo 3 because Threemo doesn't have any paint on him, and I don't know where I'm going to start with this guy because I don't really, one of the problems when you prime black is it's hard to tell where the details are. So I think I'm probably going to start with like a dry brush of gray and just kind of see where some of the stuff is on his cloaks and whatnot. And then I got Nemo 2 over here. He's trying to calm down from that thing with the sponsors, just trying to kind of get his head screwed on straight again.
Next time you prime black, just give it a quick overspray with the white afterwards, just very, very lightly.
Yeah, that's what they call that, zenithal shading or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people do the zenith shading with that, and they'll do it black, and they'll do it white from an angle, and they can do a lot of the painting just with washes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I normally prime white anyway because I much prefer the how bright the colors appear. I like my models look very cartoony and bright. Personal preference. But yeah, a few of them I prime black because there's been a lot of metallics or whatnot on them. But just a very, very, very light dusting of the white afterwards will bring back the highlighted edges for my visibility. Because I'm old now, just like you.
I can't see shit.
And even with my laser eyes, I still need to be able to see the things.
Now you have laser eyes. How'd that work out for you, bud?
Well, I'm a little disappointed. I've tried and I still can't set curtains on fire.
I know, right? We're all shooting for that DC look. I mean, everybody wants to be DC when you get right down to it.
Yeah. No, it worked very well. It was last August, I want to say. September, October, somewhere around there. I've got better than 2020 now, so they tell me.
Holy crap.
And it's a wonderful. I can now go to the movie theater for a 3D movie and wear the 3D glasses without having to wear them over other glasses. Unfortunately, the first movie I went to do that was with the kids, and so my first 3D movie with only a single pair of glasses on my head was SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, but, still SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah. Then I saw Avengers, so it was all good.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I have laser pew eyes now, and I'm 30% hunkier. Look out, ladies.
Because Gdaybloke back on the market. There you go.
To say the least.
So, one of the things we wanted to kind of do is kind of catch up with you a little bit. It's been since episode 29 that I was on the show. Back in the day on Lost Hemisphere Radio. You're up well over 100 now, right?
Yep.
So you Northblade have been kind of keeping it going now. Guys, if you're looking for a high-quality podcast, go on over to LostHemisphere.com and check out Lost Hemisphere Radio. Great radio, started by an idiot and a really good, talented guy. That would be Gdaybloke, would be the really good, talented guy. And
he's just a liar.
They are definitely kicking it out still to this day, and super glad that you're still doing that. But what we wanted to talk a little bit about is some of the other things that you've been getting on with, and so you're hitting people with foam these days.
Foam?
Well,
No, just sticks, actual sticks.
We use sticks, man.
All right, well,
Foam is something else entirely, and they laugh at those people. Let's be honest.
Well, I can hear the laughing already.
You can get seriously hurt doing this stuff.
Okay, well then break a knowledge egg loose on my ass and tell me about the SCA.
All right. Well, the SCA is the Society for Creative Anachronism. There's a surprising number of Warmachine people involved in it, which is neat. And I've only been doing it for a very short period, so I'm really not the ideal spokesperson, but nonetheless. Ross Thompson, for example, is big in the SCA. He's another of our friends who's there. I've actually found since doing it, there's at least 8 or 9 Warmachine players in the Toronto area who are in the SCA. But essentially, it's history enthusiasts who like to actually embrace more than just reading about them and watching documentaries and whatever. It's not just hitting each other with sticks, though. That is a huge part of it, I'm not going to lie. It started in the 60s with some people who decided they wanted to have a theme party, like in their backyard sort of thing. Everyone just wanted to get together and pretend it was, the 14th century or whatever.
Sweet.
And it's grown and grown since then to now being a worldwide thing. Right now, well, I think they just had their 50th. What is it? I don't know. I'm throwing numbers at random out now. But there are kingdoms all over the world. The whole world's divided up into kingdoms, baronies, cantons, the whole thing. There are tournaments and things all summer long all over the place. You can do, if you want to do the heavy armor fighting, you can do that. They usually use rattan weapons, sword and shield, or you can go for a pole arm or whatever you want to do. Rapier fighting, throwing axes and archery. Throwing axes is a lot of fun, actually, I'll tell you that. But for those who are more artistically inclined rather than, desiring to beat each other up, there's also a lot of attempts to keep skill sets alive that are no longer in use nowadays. A lot of work with embroidery, calligraphy, illumination, woodworking, leatherworking, in the styles and the manners that were done during the 12th century, the 11th century, 8th century, whatever. The SCA covers a period usually from the 6th century through to the 16th. So what you'll do is you'll pick a persona for yourself or from a time period, and you usually start put an outfit together for yourself, come up with a name for yourself, have a new identity. So in that sense, it's like a role-playing game.
Nice.
But it's more about just embracing and sinking into the history than anything else, I find. It's a side of creative anachronism, so the fact that you have different people from different time periods isn't a big deal at all. A lot of people in my area are big into Viking stuff, though. We've got a bunch of guys coming out of Toronto, and all of their heavy armor, fighting gear is all samurai armor. And so they come out en masse with 8 or 9 or 10 guys all done up as samurai to go fighting against barbarians or guys who are dressed up as Roman legionaries or whatever.
Nice. So you see a lot of blending of different time periods kind of facing off. So I can imagine almost a what would happen if kind of a thing. Like Genghis Khan versus the Roman Empire or something like that.
Yeah, you've got your people who do the Mongols. Late Roman Empire, because we're talking 600 is usually about the time period it starts from, 600 BC, AD. But right now, for example, here in Ontario is covered by the Kingdom of Eldamere. The current king and queen of Eldamere they're maintaining Viking personas. So a lot of people who are serving in the court as the king and queen's champion, various high-level marshals, autocrats, heralds, this sort of thing, they're wearing Viking-style costumes and Viking-style garb. The way they do it is they have what's called a crown tournament, where the heavy fighters all go in, and each heavy fighter will come in and pick a consort. It doesn't have to be a guy picking a girl as his consort. It can go the other way around as well. It's full equal opportunity, whatever. If you are
nice.
We've had a number of very talented women come into the crown tournament, and they've won the throne by beating the crap out of everybody else. And they will choose as their consort. Often, if it's a couple, they'll choose their spouse. The current king and queen, King Steinar, his wife didn't want to do it this time around, and so he looked around locally to see who would be a good, suitable queen to reign with him while he was king, and it actually turned out to be a co-worker of mine, is the current queen of Eldamere.
Awesome.
So I know people.
Yes, fun. You do.
Apparently. But he and she are current king and queen, and what happens shortly into their reign, they have another crown tournament, and the winner of that crown tournament and their consort become the prince and princess for the next 6-month period. And so at the end of that 6-month period, Steinar and Leda will step down as the king and queen. And what's his name? Quilliam and Domhnall, the current prince and princess, will become the next king and queen for the next 6 months.
So what I'm hearing here is a very strong, almost LARP type of a feel to it.
There is the role-playing element, yes. But whereas a lot of LARPs are more along the lines of fantasy role-playing games, the SCA has a much stronger historical bent, trying to be authentic to history. There's one woman I know, very interesting woman to chat with. She's up in Ottawa, but her passion is cooking. And so she's constantly looking for recipes from, 10th through 14th century England and whatnot, and trying to put those recipes back together, translate them into what she can get her hands on nowadays, and trying to make meals, cook foods the way they were cooked and prepared then. We have people who are we had the Arts and Sciences Fair was the first event I went to, and there we had people doing all these different meads from different time periods, for example. And so it's more about living the history and keeping the history alive than it is about just having a game and having some fun with it.
That's really cool. And you mentioned mead. Maybe we need to get Brett Painter into this, John. I think that'd be super sweet. Also,
but it's just really beautiful seeing the work that people, like the artwork people can put together. There's one, like just the embroidery alone. I'm not an embroiderer at all, but I can recognize amazing work when it's done, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was actually taught how to make glass beads the way a lot of the Vikings would wear chains of glass beads, different types of glass beads. I've actually made a couple now.
Really?
In the manner that they would have made them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like, I have this really cool little glass bead, and it's blue and orange because I like blue and orange, and I made it myself.
Well, that's really tremendous. I had no idea that SCA was as in-depth as you're describing. Chris.
It's ridiculous. If you go to sca.org,
mm-hmm.
That's the main website. There's groups all over Facebook for it, for different regions. But from sca.org, you can go on there, you can find out which kingdom covers your area. And you can find out, they'll have like a baronies and whatnot in your area. You can find out which one covers your actual specific suburb or town or whatever. And then you'll be able to, if you're interested, you can get in contact with the Seneschal or the Chatelaine. And their job is to help you find your feet in the SCA and get involved. You can go to an event, they'll often have loner outfits that you can put on, just so you don't look completely out of place. And you'll get to sit there, and they'll have a royal court, and you get to sit there and watch the barons, and like all the thrones are set up, and people get called up and kneel before the throne. The whole thing, it's quite an event.
The first time I'd ever really heard about SCA was when we used to have Aaron Rudell from
Mm-hmm.
Privateer, and I don't think Aaron's with Privateer Press any longer, but
he's no longer with them as the head of Skull Island Expeditions. He's now a freelance writer for them. He's writing a Scorn trilogy right now.
Okay. I wasn't sure what had happened. I had known that he had moved on from that role, but I hadn't heard what he was doing. I'm glad he's still at least partially involved with the brands and stuff like that, because he's an amazing guy. And then I'd seen Ross Thompson get involved with it, and watching his Facebook feed on a regular basis is pretty amazing stuff to pay attention to, because of it looks like a barrel of fun. Now, that being said, as a 46, well, however old I am, what year is it? 46, 47? I don't even know how old I am anymore. I think I just celebrated 47. Your old man, I think I would get the hell beat out of me. But
it's a lot of fun. You don't have to do the heavy fighting, dude.
Is there a role for someone who is more akin to Jockster from Xena?
You can do whatever you want. You don't have to, unless you actively want to, become a knight or aim for the throne or something like that. You can go in there and not pick up a single weapon the entire time, and just engage in the atmosphere and the crafts and the skills. We actually had the Known World's Scribal and Heraldry Symposium in Toronto this weekend. So people from all over the world who are into heraldry and calligraphy and making scrolls and things like that, they were all there. And some of them are fighters, sure, but by no means does anyone have to be.
Well, that's really, really interesting, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. Also want to thank you for the idea of going with the white overspray kind of idea, because what I did was I just kind of quickly dry brushed Nemo 3 here with some gray, almost like I had primed from the top going down, just to kind of bring out some of those highlights. And boy, oh boy, is that making a big difference. And I'm going to do the same with Caitlin Finch here after I get past the old man a little bit further.
I'm hearing far too much signal there, I've got to say.
You know what, dude? This podcast has seen nothing but trolls for almost a year, and they need to see some. They need to see. The Brushheads have been a very patient people with me. Well, that's super interesting, man. You know, I thank you for. There's more there than I would have imagined, and I think, folks, Brushheads, if you're interested in kind of exploring those types of things, it's sca.org.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of people, and they love having new players in, new people who are just interested, or just chatting with people. It's just it's another social group. It's another way to get out and meet people. TMI, I know, but I separated from my wife earlier this year, and so for me, it's been a huge social outlet, and just meeting new people, getting back out there, and just interacting with people again. So it's been wonderful for me. They've been very supportive, very friendly, and they love having new people who just want to get involved and who are excited to be a part of their little world.
Well, Chris, as you've had a front row seat to some of the disasters that have been my personal life, and
Yes.
It's when you go through those life changes, for better or for worse, or whatever they are. It's something that if you have an outlet and some people that you can share an experience with, it's a big deal.
Yep.
So
they're really neat people. They really are.
Well, cool. One of the things I want to kind of talk about, speaking about neat people, since kind of we're very neat people in general, and I want to do maybe a little bit better job of including John on this, is that I'm beginning to sense something going on in the meta that it's a little bit disturbing for me as a person who's been podcasting for quite some time, and that is the effect of podcasting on the community of Warmachine. And honestly, some of the less than fully positive effects that podcasting has had on the meta. John, I'm going to start with you because I haven't given you much of a chance to talk on this episode. But
shut up.
What? Well, Chris, part of what made Lost Mystery Radio work in the early days was the fact that neither of us could shut up. So, John, what are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, I actually think it is a legitimate issue. I mean, now right now with my job situation, I don't get to listen to a lot of other podcasts, but when I hear from my buddies what they're talking about, I hear about reckoning reviews from other podcasts and how people go off about how horrible it is for X faction or Y faction. I mean, apparently the Merc releases from Reckoning were likened to taking a giant poop, and that's just crazy talk, and it's not helping. I mean, I think the competitive podcast has a place, but you need more than that. It can't all be about just, these models are the best to help you win every game. I find it's more about making the models work for you. If you look at a model and you're like, that I can't play with that, the model's not wrong, you're wrong. I mean, I've had some talks locally about that, and it's like every single model in the game can be used. I mean, look, Gdaybloke was using the freaking heavy rifle team, which even I will say is not the best model in the game by any stretch.
It was a challenge.
Well, yeah, but still, you saw use for it. You looked at it and like, I can use this for this. I mean, that's what it's about. And I think all the competitive podcasts are making people think only competitive and think only best models, not how can I make this work.
Yeah, I think that something that we've always tried to do here, John, on this show, and and Chris, something that you and I tried to do on Lost Mystery Radio was try to champion some of those models that were maybe a little less popular, and try to come up with great ways to make them work. And John, you're a much more accomplished player than I am, and Chris, you are probably a better player than I am, even though both of us struggle with getting out as frequently as we'd like to.
But don't worry, I'm still crap at the game.
Oh yeah, I'm absolute shit. So it's one of the things that we've always tried to say is that, and one of the reasons why I like Owen Schindel so much is that Owen takes a lot of different looks at models than maybe the 5 or 6 sort of mouthpieces for a faction, or maybe even 2 or 3 mouthpieces for a faction that might exist, and tries to expand upon them in ways, and finds really interesting and exciting ways to unlock these different models. Now, Chris, you were mentioning about how you had these two rifle teams, and what you were looking at the scenario that you were facing, and you built your list to that scenario.
Yep, they were perfect for the job, to be honest, for the goal I wanted. The one thing I've always, I mean, as you say, Lost Hemisphere Radio has always been about picking the unloved and running with it. But the one thing I've always maintained with Warmachine models is that every model has a place somewhere. Not every model is going to fit everywhere, but just because you can't figure out, when you look at a model, you can't figure out the optimal way to use it, that doesn't mean that it can't be used. It just means you haven't found it specifically. I truly, honestly believe there is no such thing as a model that's completely useless. It's just a matter of figuring out whether or not it can work for you personally. For example, Gorman de Wolf. Everyone loves Gorman de Wolf. I just don't care for him at all.
I can't figure out how to make him work right. I mean, blind is really, really great, but he becomes such a target on the table that I struggle getting him to the party.
That's actually my main role for Gorman is a target.
Yeah.
I'm threatening with you. Come kill him, and then let's see what kind of value I get out of killing what you killed him with.
Well, the flip side of the coin is the Legion of the Order of the Fist.
Right.
My locals hate that model now because I pissed them all off with them. It's amazing fun. But that is a model that I found a way that it worked for me. And just because you know, the royal you, whoever out there, doesn't like a model and haven't found a way that it works for you, doesn't mean that I'm not going to find a way for it to work for me. Just because I can't figure out how to get the best use out of Discordia, for example, doesn't mean that you won't. And I'm all for the competitive podcast. Every podcast has its own audience, and there's a role and a place for them all. But I personally don't like to write things off. I would rather look and say, okay, this model doesn't work for me, but that doesn't mean it won't work for you. It's up to you to find your own place with that. And I think, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we have something of a cult of personality with some people out there. And some of these guys have amazing insights into the competitive game. Fantastic. More power to them. They're going to do amazing at the tournament scenes. And for people who want to do really well competitively, they may well be able to learn a hell of a lot from these guys, and more power to them. I've met a lot of them in person, and they're fantastic guys. But if you're not specifically of a competitive bent, then when you're listening to their suggestions and their advice, be open-minded to the fact that the way they play might not be the way you play.
It's about style.
And what they're going to get out of the model may not be what you're going to get out of it. How many people wrote off Blight Wasps?
Oh, yeah. All
and
of
then,
them.
And then look what Jake Vermina did just recently.
Oh, yeah. They're pretty good.
It's just a matter of figuring out a way to make them work. For me personally, it always goes back to Amonad Raz's Theme Force. I know I've rambled about this several times, but when the Protectorate of Menoth book came out, everyone immediately wrote off High Reclaimer's Theme Force and Amonad Raz's Theme Force because neither one allows Choir. High Reclaimer loves Choir because they're the cheapest souls you can get in the Protectorate. And his Theme Force also requires 2 units of Cleansers and requires 3 Reclaimer solos to compete with him, 4 souls. Whereas Amon's Theme Force requires you to bring all these Kiki Monks who no one loves at all, Idrians who everyone thinks is overpriced, and no Choir to fuel the Jacks when he's nominally a Warjack caster. But what I found, because I decided to try out these Theme Forces and see if I could make them work for me, was that the High Reclaimer Theme Force works beautifully and stymies anybody who requires an Alpha Strike, except for, of course, Legion, because there's always bad matchups. And Amon's Theme Force is not about the Warjacks. It's about the Monks and the Idrians. And it can work beautifully if you treat it that way, and you don't ignore the fact that the Jacks are there, but they're not the focus of the list.
Yeah. I played Amon yesterday, and he didn't even cast Synergy. Just didn't even cast it.
I rarely did. I cast Mobility every turn. And
Mobility, yeah.
Yeah, Mobility. I mean, I was perfectly content with a Templar and a Reckoner. I never did tier 4. I'm going to try now. We've got the Purify coming out because that thing's a mazeballs. Holy crap. But the Reckoner's there to drop a flare down on the targets more than anything else to help the Idrians out. And that you basically at that point you've got 2 full boats of Idrians who can pray the opposing Warcaster, and either one of those can take out the opposing Warcaster on some decent rolls.
Oh, yeah.
Enough CRAs goes an awful long way, and they can still waterfall with Assault and Battery. Your Reckoner flares it down. Your Templar has reach and beat back on a Jack with a shield. With Mobility, he's going to get where he needs to get, and he's just going to beat his way through things. And of course, Amon can just run up and thresh. Because why wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
But the entire list runs on forcing your opponent to roll above average to hit almost across the board. If you get hit, you're in trouble, but they need to roll above average to hit. And I found a way to make that list work for me, and the monks got everywhere, and everyone got pissed off with them. One game, I got one monk on the first turn. My opponent's first turn, he got 5 free moves and ended up basing a Kadoran Mortar in his back lines with a charge lane on Sorsha before he'd done anything else. I found a way to make that list work, and my locals hate them. But if you mention Allegiance to the Order of the Fist 20 competitive player out there, chances are you're going to get mocked.
So, do you still have the troll little dude I made for you?
The troll agent? Yes, I do.
Nice. So, for those of you who don't know, I took the head off of a whelp. One of the whelps has a removable head, and I stuck it onto the body of a Kiki monk for Gdaybloke, and then resculpted his fingers and toes so that he had the proper sort of beefy fingers and stuff. The Troll Legion. God bless you. I'm glad you still play him.
Oh, yeah. He's upstairs right now. It's in the bookshelf.
I will tell you that Kill Bill Resnick sees the table more frequently than not.
Nice.
So
approved.
Well, that's awesome. I think that I'm going to go on a little bit of a personal rant here, and go ahead. G'day, you and I were among the. I like to consider sort of the second wave of podcasters. We had the first wave, which were of course the pod thralls and the all the cool people from Guts and Gears, who eventually inspired us to start this Lost Hemisphere Radio, and
the Iron Arena guys.
Yep, the Iron Agenda guys. Those, I've been blessed to get on their podcast here recently, the Your Turn Go podcast, and kind of worship at their feet a little bit. But we were there on the second wave, and there are times that I'm a little disappointed in some of what we spawned. I mean, we kind of carried the popularity through, but I think you two have summarized some of the issues that currently face the podcast community. I would urge the fellow podcasters that are out there listening to this show to embrace the positivity of each of the different models. I'm much more impressed by a player who can take a different model, a different concept, a different list construction, and do something really original with it. And that's why I was so pleased to see, as you spoke about it with JVM, bringing the Blight Wasps forward and really doing something unique and creative. I feel like he may have tapped one of the original design concepts that they were thinking about that nobody had been able to see through to. So I'm very impressed with folks that can grab those different models that you don't see so frequently and run with them. So I would urge my fellow podcasters out there to dig deep and try to do something original. So
I do want to say it's not entirely on the podcasters; it's also on the audience as well. Because, like I said, cult of personality. I won't lie; I've thoroughly enjoyed going to TempleCon and people going, "Hey, it's you, yeah!" But people know when they come again and play me, I'm going to be pulling out ridiculously goofy lists, and they expect that, and they want my input on goofy lists and things like that. I've been asked to offer some advice on some lists. I'm thinking, I have no idea about that Warcaster. I don't know why you're even talking to me. I'm guaranteed to shoot you in the foot. But when you are listening to a podcast or talking to somebody about a list, just be open-minded. These people are great at the game, absolutely, but they're not you. This harkens back to, I'm a parent. I've got 2 kids. And one of the key pieces of advice that I give other parents is, this is what worked for me and my kid. It may or may not work for you. If it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It means you're not you and your kid isn't my kid. And it's the same with Warmachine. The way I work with Protectorate or Retribution or Trolls or a Circle or whoever, that works for me in that faction. That doesn't mean that when you approach that same faction, you're going to have the same experience, the same gameplay, you're going to enjoy the same things about it. What you enjoy is what you enjoy. Embrace that. Accept advice and recommendations from players who are good at the game, sure. But if it doesn't gel for you, there's nothing wrong with you. Just enjoy yourself. And be open to trying things that they might have otherwise dismissed.
Yep, I think that's tremendous.
Yeah, Pagani would twitch, but playstyle really is a thing. People have a playstyle, and maybe best players don't, but you have to play things that fit what you want to play, or at least understand that you're playing outside of that, and it's going to be frustrating and occasionally annoying because you're using stuff that doesn't fit how you want and are used to playing.
Yep.
If you had to point,
gun line.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I'm just saying, I love playing the troll gun line. the whole reason I started with Grim Angus when I started putting together the Tatar Creel was because
awesome.
he was the one troll warlock at the time, and granted this was a while ago, that did not intrinsically rely on the Creel Stone. I didn't own a Creel Stone for the first year and a half of my playing trolls. Instead, I had full-voted bushwhackers, and I had the scattergunners, and I had this, that, the other, and I played a troll gun line with blitzers before we had Dozer and Smeg, because I just really enjoyed playing a troll gun line. And yes, I was not, competitively viable in inverted commas, but it's amazing how much fun you have when you put that list down, and your opponent says, "I'm playing trolls," and what the hell is that?
Yeah.
They don't know what to do about it.
I played trolls for a year, and I never ever put a Creel Stone on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna make a little bit of an argument. As far as I picked up trolls, and I have stuck with trolls because of playstyle.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that when I was playing Protectorate on a full-time basis, what I wanted out of Protectorate was an army that would hit whatever it decided to hit and kill it as soon as it touched it. And that is part of what Protectorate brings to the party, but it is also reliant on a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
With trolls, I feel like I can express myself with that sort of overall concept even more fully. And that's why I love my trolls right now, is that whatever I decide to touch, it dies. And and in return, I may or may not die. And that is okay with me. And so it's a play style, and it's a almost a philosophical decision that I've made with my pick up of the trolls. I still love my Protectorate. It's still super fun. And when MenothJohn comes out, I got me a double Templar list with double Vigilance and 2 units of Bastions that I'm drooling to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be super fun to bust them out. And also same thing when Hand of Judgment and the Revelator comes out. Going to be good times. Going to play a Fat Asian style Retribution list in Protectorate, and just for grins and giggles. It'll be a good time. So I would urge each and every one of you out there who are listening to this, play with what you enjoy, play what makes you happy. Get those crazy models that make you happy when you play them. Get them out there and just figure out how to make them work.
Yep. All love and respect to those guys who play competitively and can do it well.
Yes.
Because Lord knows I can't. But just as a player, find what works for you.
By no means are we saying that Will Pagani and Keith Christensen and all these other guys are wrong. What we're trying to say is that there's another way of doing it.
Yep.
So
they've all got better hair than I do, so I really don't know what to say about that.
Pagani's hair is not what it used to be.
Dude, have you seen my hair?
Pagani's hair is not what it used to be.
No one's seen my hair in years, man. By default, if he has hair, he has better hair than I do.
It's all good though. There's a fine line between not having good hair and not having hair being superior to not having decent hair.
Well, all I know is as I lean down to paint, anybody who can see my video right now sees the top of my head. So,
and quite a handsome pate it is.
I should paint on it.
There you go. You'd be painting on your pate. Anyway, so flippity bloop. Let's go to phase 2 here.
All right. Well, this is one from the chat room from, let's see if I can read that name, Shikaku. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He wants to know, you had mentioned, MenothJohn, about you're thinking of putting all your PP paints into dropper bottles. How did that work out?
I haven't even tried to start it yet.
Way to drop the ball there, John.
Well, there's this thing called life and all that shit. I have not had a chance to even attempt it yet. I think it's a good idea in general. I think that it's something that holds merit, but I haven't had a chance yet. What are your thoughts on this concept, Chris?
I like the dropper bottles well enough, but I usually like to paint out of the lids because, I make painters cry when they see how I actually paint.
Yeah, Joe.
So I'm not one of those people who likes to get a glob of paint on the end of a brush and smear it on a wet palette. And I'm a horrible painter. I freely admit this, but I enjoy what I do. So I've used the dropper bottles. I've got some of the Blair ones here. Actually, the original pink for the Tatar Creel's right there.
Is that the squid pink?
It's almost worn off now. It was like 2 parts Carnal pink, 1 part Sanguine highlight, and some Melite white highlight, I think it was.
Yeah, I just use squid.
I actually had it written on the side of the bottle that's gone faded and wonky now.
Nice.
But I've used the dropper bottles, and I'm all for them. But personally, I'm perfectly fine without them. Though that said, having read, was it John Webb or one of the guys from the UK on Twitter posted how he wishes they'd all go to dropper bottles so he stopped having the split lids and those little thumb tabs breaking off.
Yeah.
That is an annoyance, I will admit.
I love my wet palette. I am looking
I
forward.
read that about you.
you know that about me.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy using my wet palette, and I don't use it for my metallics very much. I don't know why, but I just don't. But for any of the colors and stuff like that, it's almost like it gives me a dilution step that I don't have to really mess with, which I really like. And on especially a lot of the PP creams and stuff like that, it really does a nice job. So, but
what I'm using right now.
Before you go with the dropper bottles, if you're looking for some advice there, Brushhead, I would go with get that wet palette, especially for when you're painting any of the harder to paint colors that dry quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to paint some jackbone here on this guy's shoulder pads here right quick. So flippity bloop.
All right,
Yay.
let me get this one real quick. This is from Balespar in the chat room. He says, do you think that some players use the term casual player to remain out of competitive play while clubbing seals?
I do it all the time.
Oh, that's a dangerous position. Because just because you're a casual player doesn't mean you're a good or a bad player, and those baby seals club back.
Indeed, they do. Yeah, it could be a problem, but honestly, that's more for the group to sort of push that player into playing, I mean, if you will, people on his level.
Sure.
I mean, I play any of the guys in the store, but they'll challenge me, I'll challenge them. I just enjoy playing those guys, and as long as you're willing to, if you will, telegraph your punches, as Devil Squid says. He says he doesn't pull his punches, but he'll telegraph them.
Yeah.
If you're willing to telegraph your punches and, I don't want to say play down to the level, but play so they see what you're doing and they can learn from it, it's all good. It doesn't matter what you're doing then.
I always try to make sure when I'm playing somebody that if they're unfamiliar with my models, I give them a basic overview of what everything can do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, while I'm not going to 100% pull my punches, if I see an assassination angle for a newer player for them to beat the crap out of me, they're completely oblivious to it, I'll be sure to point it out. You've got a shot at doing this here. Your chances may or not be good, but you've got an option for it here.
I remind players of their rules. Now I tell them, I'll remind you of your rules. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do at that time.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you you have this rule you might have forgotten.
Yeah. Reminder, this model has stealth. You can't shoot
or
CMA.
Signar players forget that both their Storm Knights units have the foot ones have CMA.
Yep.
And I'll remind them. That may not be the best idea, but it's there.
For me, I find myself a lot here recently playing in unfamiliar dojos because I'll bring my models along with me on business trips and stuff. And what I'll try to do is what I try to tell them is like, okay, first off, anytime I'm playing a game, I'm gonna try to simulate the 2-list thing, and because I don't want, when I play a game, I get to play so rarely that I want to like exercise my brain as hard as humanly possible. So I'm bringing, like last when I was in Reno, I said, okay, I've got Grim 2 and I have Madrak 2. And I said, I'll be very honest. And I told the guy beforehand, I said, I'll be very honest with you. I'm very tired. I had a very taxing day. I'm going to be playing, I'll probably be looking at Madrak 2 because I'm low mental bandwidth at this point.
Sure.
And then I'm going to play as hard as I humanly know how to. And he was not a new player. I could tell already that he had played some. But boy, we had a great game, and at least we gave each other. We didn't do the, I'm a rube, and now I'm going to tech against you because I think that's crap.
That's
and
horrible.
That's nobody getting to have a good time. Well, I guess if you're that kind of a person,
I'm a rube, right?
Well, yeah. No, you're not. So
I'm a rube.
So I try to help out the player from that standpoint, but people who call themselves casual and then are just like beating. At the end of the day, you want to have people who like play the game so you can play games, and if you act evil to them, they will quit the game, and then they will be less awesome for everyone. Don't be that guy.
I think the whole I am casual, I am competitive thing is a hell of a misnomer too. There are people who strictly play on a casual level, but they can't cut themselves a break or their opponent. And there are other people who are amazing competitively, but will happily and gleefully play their competitive list against a complete noob and help that noob beat them. In the end, we're all just players. And I think, creating some sort of artificial divide between competitive and non-competitive, or competitive and casual, just because that's how we personally prefer to play, can be a little bit destructive. In the long run, we are just all playing a game for fun with army mans. Now, it's important in terms of a social contract as a gamer when you're playing against somebody to make sure you both want the same things out of the game. If I was to play Mr. Spencer here, and John, you're looking for, an absolute balls to the wall, cutthroat game, and I'm sitting here thinking I'd really like to field 7 heavy rifle teams just because they look pretty. We're not going to enjoy the game because I'm not giving you what you want as an opponent and you're not giving me what I want as an opponent. Whereas if we both go in thinking, you know what, let's have a hardcore game, or if we both go in thinking, let's have the game for shits and giggles, at that point we can have some sort of accord, and regardless of the competitive level of our lists, we go into the game knowing what each other expects, and we can give each other the game that we want to have. This is a social activity. Being a dick doesn't help anybody. If your opponent wants a hardcore game, play a hardcore game. Make sure they stick to the rules. Check them on those measurements, that sort of thing. Keep them honest. If they just want to kick around and have some fun, then for crying out loud, pull out RKDS and run nothing but gun bores.
Yeah, I mean, there's a social contract in playing a game. If you make it apparent to your opponent what kind of game you want, you will never have a problem.
Yep.
Boom, flippity bloop.
All right. Well, the next one's from Mark Bright.
Cracking knowledge eggs.
He wants to know if MenothJohn is the Podfather, then what does that make Gdaybloke?
The sexy one.
How you doing? I don't know that I'm anything. I'm just me. I'm lost. My shirt says I'm lost.
Well played. Well played.
I needed a marketing angle, Chris, so there you go.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well, you didn't give yourself the nickname, so it's okay.
Good point. Good point. That was a lot. That was a Chain Attack that came up with that one.
Yep.
So.
All right, and so professional troll Mike Bond asks, how many people will be wearing pants during the show? God, I hope most of them.
All of them. That's Northblade's deal.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm wearing shorts. Does that count?
Sure.
Totally.
Because I'm wearing shorts too.
Sweet.
I'm wearing shorts also, so if short pants are pants, boom.
It's warm.
Yeah, I know. Even in Canada.
Even in Canada. Actually, it's been raining the last 2 days. I had a great rib fest the other day. It was fantastic.
Nice.
Because ribs.
Yeah.
Smoky meat.
But yeah, it's a warm day today.
All right, so get your drinks ready for this next one.
Okay.
Kev Bryant, who is angling for a shot at a professional troll title, goes, who, #Ron, is your #Ron favorite #Ron Rhett, #Ron caster? I'm just going to drink a bunch right now.
Oh, I got a nut crunchy bit.
Holy Christ, how many was that? This is like doing the Patreons the other day.
It's like 5.
Wow.
Well, John, what do you think?
I forgot the question. I was trying to keep up with the drinking.
Who's your favorite troop caster?
Who's my favorite troop caster?
Trib.
Retribution.
Oh, Retribution caster. I've had the most luck with Viros 1. When I was playing Retribution on a regular basis, the best I ever did at a tournament was Viros 1 and Gareth. And the reason was that it was Viros 1. I was playing, I think, his Theme Force, where he gets the second UA for the Dawn Guard.
Yep.
And that's
Legions of the Dawn. I played it today.
Yep, it's a hell of a list. I mean, having 2 units of Vengeancing Dawn Guard is a deal, and they hit real damn hard, and they're fairly accurate when they get there. Than Gareth, it was a list that I used to champion called Threat Vector, that was as many different individual I can kill you models in the list. It had Scareth Ison, it had 2 Mage Hunter Assassins, it had Gareth, it had very few. It was one of the very first sort of multiple small unit lists before that was even a thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say I invented it, but I kind of invented it. And but nobody paid attention, of course. I am the Leibniz of Warmachine. I'm the guy that invented calculus, but nobody paid attention. Yeah. But anyway, no, in all but it was a good list, and I liked it. I liked Gareth a lot, and I like Virus 1 a lot. So, what about you, Chris?
Virus 1 does carry a lot of weight, mainly because he has mobility, which is like my favorite spell ever, because Jacks are amazing, and giving them +2 speed in Pathfinder is just en masse for 2 focus is huge. And then, of course, there's his actual feat. Not the feat that's on the back of the spell card, but the one on the back of his stat card, the one that says Bird's Eye. He has some other ability which he uses once a game, but he has a game-long feat that says your Jacks ignore intervening models, forest, and cloud effects when declaring line of sight.
It's a big effing deal.
You will shoot all the things through all the things. Now, Virus 2 does as well, but Virus 2 doesn't have mobility, which works for the Jacks again. I will always, always, always have a soft spot for Kalissa, for Phantom Hunter, for Witch Hound, for 7 Jack points.
Yeah, why not?
That's a thing. I mean, there's nothing like dropping 2 Hyperions at 35 points and laughing. I've had a lot of fun with pretty much all of them over time. I haven't put as much time into Assyria as I'd like. I took her to TempleCon and 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Whenever it was. And played a few games with her and lost every one of the damn things.
Yep.
She's not a caster that suits my personal playstyle.
Nope, I had the same problem, Chris. She almost made me quit the game. Well, she had me so pissed off at Warmachine Weekend that I almost walked away from the game. If I had not brought my Rulix with me, I don't know what I would have done.
No, I much prefer a caster that can do the job themselves if need be, and because she has no offensive abilities whatsoever, she can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Virus 1, Kalissa. I've only played a couple of games with Thyron now, but that Storm Rager, being able to give a map boost to an assassin, or the feat giving the extra attack dice.
I am so warm for that combo. I don't care whatever happens the rest of the game, as long as I get to have 2 Mage Hunter assassins go in and just rip the crap out of something. Man, I'm all in.
You run 2 Mage Hunter assassins, Naren and Scareth.
Yep.
And any one of them can kill a Warcaster.
Magisters are
when
good
they're rolling
too.
the extra attack dice.
Yes, they are.
Magister there, yeah. Oof.
And then of course Thyron himself can do the job as well.
Indeed.
Because he's a freaking monster himself in melee.
Yeah, you just fight through the whole army, and then, oh, by the way, Mullah Karn's waiting for you at the other end.
Basically, yeah.
Well, Mullah Karn's a thing, I'll grant you.
No, but what I mean is that he's like Mullah Karn. You got this Warcaster that's essentially Mullah Karn waiting for you after you've done all this other stuff.
Yep. Weapon Master and high stats and Storm Rager for himself and Cleave, because why the hell not? Riposte is always fun too. So yeah, and just being able to sit there at defense 19 against range goes an awfully long way.
Good times.
That only gives you another reason to use an artificer.
Exactly. What about you, John?
Raven, and not for Snipe Fico, which I've never actually done, because the first time you charge into something, kill it, shoot something else, move 2 inches, kill something else in melee, shoot something else, etc., etc. It is the most fun you can have with a Warcaster. Straight up.
Whirling
Derv. Have it gelled for me.
It's. I'm a little bolder with her than maybe I should be, but it's just super fun to run in there and have her just kill an entire unit's worth of troops herself, moving halfway across the board, and then just what's up? I killed half your army. It's fun.
She gives me the same thrill that I got from playing Garlic Slaughterborn back when I had some cricks. Because I remember one time I was playing against Cheddar Caveman in Chicago, and I ate 2 units of Circle with 1 activation, and he gave up. And it was like, wow, that's like some of the naughtiest sex I've ever had. It's just amazing. Awesome. So, I mean, that was a good question, considering we had 3 guys on here. I mean, 2 that play Retribution on a regular basis, and 1 that has this incredible love-hate relationship with Retribution.
Indeed.
I love my Retribution. I'm really, really tempted to go back to Protectorate lately, but I do love my Retribution.
I love to hate my Retribution. Flippity bloop.
It's okay, they hate you too.
Yes, they do.
All right, well, here's one from the chat room. It's from Malio. He wants to know, and this is a little deeper. We'll see if we can get this one quickly. He said, given one game per week and having severe social anxiety, how do you enjoy the game and or hobby every week?
I think the first thing you got to remember there is that the game is a lot more than just the game. We have so much available to us now in terms of fluff with Skull Island and the RPG resources as well. There are players I know who've won journeyman leagues and whatnot strictly by painting and embracing the hobby side of things. It's wonderful to get out there and play games and be social and interact with other players. If you have an anxiety issue where you can't get to your store, or you've only got so much social energy to interact with people face to face, the internet's out there, texting, emails, whatever. There's no reason you can't engage your community as a whole without having to leave your comfort zone. If you can't go out there and play more than one game a week, it's unfortunate that you're in that position, but there's no reason you can't enjoy the other aspects of the hobby in the meantime. If you've got somebody you can chat with on Skype, or again, if you just want to be solo on Skype, throw on, watch the Daredevil series on Netflix or something like that, and just spend time embracing the hobby side, modeling, make terrain, paint your army up. If you're good enough at it, offer your commission skills and paint other people's armies too, and that can be another social connection without the need for a face-to-face interaction that might trigger something.
Or watch a battle report. Those battle reports between advanced maneuvers, my own group's starting off theirs, Pillar's Assault, a whole bunch of guys out there. Battle reports, that's a good way to live vicariously through them playing,
Mm-hmm. This podcast was founded on the concept of giving folks a chance to embrace the hobby side of the game when they didn't have anything else to do. I mean, let's face it, like we've talked about on this show on more than one occasion, Painting with MenothJohn happened because MenothJohn couldn't get a date. And
New Year's Eve.
Yep, New Year's Eve going on 2.5 years ago. And maybe it wasn't necessarily social anxiety or anything as harsh or not as difficult as that, let's say.
Sure.
Yeah, but it was I wanted to reach out to a demographic that maybe wasn't being served at that point, which was the hobby side of the game and sort of an opportunity to experience the fun of a Skype paint-a-thon that happens every now and again if you know the right people and different people that you can kind of paint with others without having to put yourself out there, so to speak. And maybe you don't have to turn on your camera. You leave your avatar up. But at least you've got a social interaction there that's a very safe one. And but I thank you very much for being a part of the show and asking a wonderful question. And I know that on behalf of John and myself, we're very happy that you're here. And welcome to the Brushheads. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
More ice cream for the ice cream guy.
My ice cream's melted at this point. I just got soup.
Soup for the soup god. Flippity. Got any more time for one, or should we? We're getting pretty close.
We can do one more.
I
got
think.
one, and considering it's Lost Brushhead Radio, I'll get one of the Lost Hemisphere guys who's got another trolley one here. Kev Bryant occasionally writes for Lost Hemisphere, if I remember correctly.
He does.
Which of the 7 dwarves are you?
Oh God. Do you want me to go first on this one, or who do you want to go first?
I got this one because I'm going to go a little silly. The one played by Nick Frost.
I don't get
in
that.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh, I haven't seen Snow White and the Huntsman.
Neither have I, but that's a good answer.
I like it.
Know anything about? Yeah.
Nick Frost. I mean, he's kind of my stature and all that. I'm down. What do you got, John?
Without question, I'm grumpy.
That's fair. G'day.
I think I alternate between dopey, sleepy, happy, and doc.
That's a good place to be.
Depends on where I'm at. I'm pretty manic sometimes, I guess. More often than not, lately sleepy. I'll tell you that. I've not slept well in weeks.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, pal.
It is what it is, man.
But I promise you, things will get better. I promise you that.
It's all good. I still got ice cream.
Yeah, buddy. By the way, what ice cream are you having right now?
It's Heavenly Hash, actually.
Oh, nice.
Or it was before it was soup.
There you go.
Soup hash.
It's like it's not that sort of hash. Good lord.
Well, that's Seattle. If we were in Seattle, we'd be doing.
Types confuse me.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's flippity bloops for this episode of Lost Brushhead Radio. I'm telling you what, I'm a little sick of painting Nemo, so I'm going to put him away, and I'm going to go back up to the face cam.
I've been painting Kaylee the Nether Strider.
Who?
She's one of the SD mini bosses.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So I've got Moros in one hand that you can see him because of the lighting and crap, whatever. He's there. Yeah,
there he is.
He's shadowed because of bad lighting.
Woo. Can see the orange though.
And I'm slowly working on Kaylee. Now with the new version of Super Dungeon Explorer, you can use a lot of the old mini bosses as alternate heroes as well.
Nice. I have yet to take the shrink wrap off of my Forgotten King.
It's very shiny. I'm a big fan.
Is it considerably better than the other one?
A lot of the rules were cleaned up for the standard play, with one player being the console and the others being players.
Yeah.
Now there's full arcade mode as well. So if one of the big things I have with board games, like the original Super Dungeon Explorer, is that somebody has to be the bad guy while everyone else gets to be the heroes. Mm-hmm. And as the guy who owns a lot of the games, in my case, inevitably I'm introducing new players to the game. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I never get to be the hero. There's only been one game I've ever played where it's been just as much fun to be both sides, and that was Level 7 Omega Protocol. The way that game is balanced and the way the mechanics work for the Overseer versus the Commando team is fantastic.
Yeah, I played that game exactly once, and I had Travis Marg, who is one of the Infernals, running the game, and man, even from his side, with the way that the control panel works,
and the adrenaline tokens, yeah,
it looks like a lot of fun.
It is. It really is. But the new version of Super Dungeon Explorer with Forgotten King has arcade mode. So in that, there are cards you flip up to control what the mobs do, so all the players can play heroes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
so I can feel a lot less guilty about my kids dying in the game now.
Once
my fault. The cards did it.
Once the basement gets done, I'm gonna have to bust out Super Dungeon Explorer and get the big table out and play big table games.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, in this part of the show, Chris, we like to talk a little bit about media, and so we bust out movies and stuff like that. I'm going to take the first one, John, if that's okay.
Sure.
I broke out my youngest, my 9-year-old, who I'm lucky enough is going to be living with me full time now, which I'm super excited about. Yeah, I know, right? I got myself a Warmachine, live-in Warmachine player now, and he wanted to watch the original King Kong. So I'm doing something right.
Yep,
absolutely.
And so we busted out the 1933 edition of King Kong with Fay Wray.
Yep.
Who is a beautiful woman.
Yes.
I'm just going to put that out there. I don't care what age we're talking about here. 1933, 1983, 2003. Fay Wray was a hottie. And no wonder that monkey went crazy for her. And I'm going to tell you guys, there's a lot of that movie I didn't remember. So let me, how many dinosaurs?
You were only, in your early 30s when that came out?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well played, sir. So how many dinosaurs did King Kong do battle with in the original
4?
King Kong? Okay, what's your answer, Chris?
Games and Gears double-ended master hybrid brush.
That's a good answer to that question. Well, you're wrong. But John,
was that Ron?
Hey, Ron. There you go.
I'm only slightly.
John, I don't know if you're right or not, but it's more than I thought, which was 1. I had thought that he'd only done battle with the T-Rex.
I remember him doing battle with more than 1, and it's been a while since I've seen the movie.
I was shocked. He did battle with this, with all kinds of different dinosaurs. He had the salamander one that he did battle with. He did the T-Rex. He had all manner of dinosaurs coming after him, and that was very surprising to me. And
maybe he smelled like dinosaur chow.
There you go. Dinosaurs come running for the great taste of King Kong. Anyway, so then I thought that it was very unique. I thought that I didn't remember all the lead-in to the movie. I thought, the movie started pretty much as the boat started to approach Skull Island, there was a whole lot of sexism that had to take place before they got to that part.
Yes.
1933 was a different world than it is now. And let me tell you, them dames got treated differently back then.
Yep.
So that was very interesting.
Horrible treatment of women smoking in the films.
One of my favorite scenes was on the boat. Like 3 of the characters lit up a cigar at the same time. And instantly the whole thing became a cloud. It was like Gorman DeWolf dropped the bomb in the middle of the room. So King Kong, if you're not aware, movie about a big monkey, likes girls. And
You do.
they take him to New York. Bad things happen. Planes are involved. And my kids, we were all rooting for King Kong throughout the whole movie. At no time did we want humans to win this one, and we were sadly disappointed in the end. Spoilers, King Kong dies at the end.
But I haven't seen that movie. It was made before I was born. Damn you, John.
But it was Beauty that killed the beast. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for beating me to the punch on that one.
Yes.
And so I am going to give the original King Kong from 1933. I am going to give it 2 shots of Kraken. One shot of Kraken, because you're watching a movie. Why would you not have a shot of Kraken? And number 2, the second shot of Kraken, to get you through the horrible racism and horrible sexism that goes on in that movie. So what about you, John?
Well, I watched one of my old favorites, a movie I've seen so many times. My wife, who doesn't always remember those movies that she's seen only a couple times, remembers the entire plot to, and that is a little movie called Replacement Killers, starring Chow Yun-fat.
Ah, yes.
And I may have reviewed it before. I really don't remember. If I did, it was a long, long time ago on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this movie. It's like proto John Wick, if you will.
Yeah.
It's not quite as. It's a different stylistic choices. It's like Hong Kong John Wick, and it's Chow Yun-fat, who honestly, no slight to Keanu Reeves, Chow Yun-fat is like many times the actor Keanu Reeves is.
Oh God, yeah.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I think it's actually more of the supporting cast that may really make it not quite as watchable as John Wick nowadays. That and the fact that it's from the 90s, so it's a little dated.
Is it a John Woo movie?
No, it's not. I think it was Anton Fuqua who studied a little bit under John Woo, so
Okay.
it's got some similarities. But
Okay.
It's really a very simple movie. Now, I've seen it so many times that I can tell every additional scene from this extended cut that's like every scene they filmed for it, not the theatrical cut. Yeah, it adds a little bit of background, but like it's a movie that doesn't need background. You don't need to know why Chow Yun-fat does what he does. You know that he has decided to kill somebody, and he decides not to, and thus bad stuff happens, and he has to go hang out with Mira Sorvino, who's supposed to be this crack document forger to get him passport so he can get back to China so he can save his family. And it just progresses from there. The story is really, really tight. Really tight. There's not a lot of extraneous bits in there. When other movies add these extra, subplots and all this stuff to pad it out, they're like, no, we're going to make this movie and just do that. And it's got some cool action scenes, though, really, like I said, they're a little dated now. At the time, I loved them. Now, when I watch it, I enjoy them, but only the last one where he's fighting the mob boss and all of his flunkies is really great. But it's still a good movie. If you're thinking about watching it, you may want to watch John Wick instead if it's available. And I hate to say that because I love this movie. I own it on DVD, own it on VHS, but
John Wick's
you
really
may
amazing.
want to watch John Wick. John Wick is every bit as tight, and it fits the modern day a little more.
Yeah.
You don't have cell phones that are like little floppy antennas and flipping it out. Like, oh my God.
Yep.
At one point, the guy's like, cell phone rings. They're all looking around. It's like, I don't pay you guys enough to have cell phones. I'm thinking, oh, those were the days.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
So how many shots of Kraken, my friend?
I'm going to give it 1.5. It's not quite John Wick, but it's still a really good time, really tight. And at only like an hour and 30 minutes, it does not overstay its welcome at all.
Cool. Sounds like a great movie. I need to do a couple announcements, John, here at the end.
Oh, shit.
One off, one thing I want to kind of talk to the Brushheads about is life. And last week we did not. Well, it's a thing. And
I got
last
that cereal.
no, not the cereal. Mikey likes Life cereal. The reality is that I'm quickly becoming a full-time father again, and that is an amazing thing, and it's something that I frankly didn't believe would ever happen for me again. And but the other thing that's happening at the same time is I've got this job that causes me to travel an awful lot. So while Painting with MenothJohn has been your Sunday night addiction every Sunday, and we've tried to keep it as faithful as possible, there are going to be times when we're not going to be able to have a Sunday night show every night. And like tomorrow, I am flying out at 3 o'clock in the morning because I need to get to Carson, Nevada as quickly as I can to continue my job. Because while Patreon, down here on the side here, keeps the lights on, Starbucks really keeps the lights on. So I need you to be patient with me. We're going to try to have a show each and every Sunday for you because John and I, frankly, enjoy the hell out of coming together to do this show for you. But I need you to be patient with me in those times when we're not going to be able to have a show. So that's kind of the big thing that's happening here. And to be honest with you, when I'm only home for 48 hours like I am this weekend, and I take 2 hours to do the show and another hour of post-production when I have to fly out at 3 o'clock, that's a large percentage of that 48 hours that I take away from my family. And I need to make sure that I'm taking care of them first and foremost. Love you guys, but I think you understand it. I know I've got the coolest fans in the universe, and you'll understand that. So there may be times when we don't do a show every week, and that is probably coming to a theater near you for the next few months. So I'm trying to figure out how things are going to be in the new world of full-time daddyship. And but give me some time to adjust and give the show some time. We're not pod fighting at any stretch of the imagination. I love this community. I love doing this show, and I love getting on here and talking with good friends that I've known for years and years, and continuing to explore this hobby that has meant so much to me over the years. So there you go. Stick with us. We're not pod fading. In fact, I'm not even formally scaling back the schedule on the show, but there will be times when we can't do it, and that's just a fact of life.
And I might do some stuff in the weeks we're off. Like I might just post some Facebook content, or maybe even we'll do what we did one week and just have an open Skype channel where you guys can jump on, or a Google Plus thing where you guys can all jump on and talk with the me and whoever else decides to come in, just all paint together, something like that. We'll keep it going.
John, from that matter, I'll share the stream key with you, and if you want to get up on the Twitch and stream on weekends I can't be here, I'm more than happy to share the stream key with you, and we'll just kind of do a sort of a Painting with MenothJohn unplugged, if you will.
Yeah, that might be crazy talk, but we'll see. I'll talk to my guys. Maybe we'll do a cross promotion with our new my new group and do something once in a while.
Pillars of Salt,
especially
baby.
if we know in advance.
Yep. And I'll try to keep you in. I'll try to keep you in loop. I take Google Calendar to the next level with life scheduling. I'll tell you that. So, Chris, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It was amazing doing a show with you again.
I'm glad I could come along.
I'm gonna try and search my. I'm gonna try and figure out how I can get my the closing music here, because we did the.
Search your folders.
I couldn't.
To be true.
I couldn't be bothered to actually get the music all lined up ahead of. Here we go. There we go. Now we got the dulcet tones. We opened up with the old Lost Hemisphere theme, which, man, that brought back the memories. Let me tell you what. And now we're going to close the show with the Bob Ross theme, our spirit animal here on Painting with MenothJohn. On behalf of Chris Gdaybloke Miller, first off, get your ass over to Lost Hemisphere Radio. Listen to the second best podcast on the internets. And when you want to listen to the third best, come over here to Painting with MenothJohn. And we're going to be here most Sundays, unless we aren't. And we will see you, I'm thinking, next weekend. God willing, the creek don't rise. I'm going to have this stupid roaster up and running next week. And I'll be able to be home having some fun. So I will see you next week here on Painting with MenothJohn. Good night, everybody.